Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to take a very honest look back into my early 20s when I lived in Scotland and developed a serious shopping problem. Oh yes. There were certain reasons why I behaved as I did back then, and looking back at it all now, I think there might be quite a lot of you who actually can relate to what I've realized afterwards, how I shopped then and what I actually recognize in that behavior these days. So definitely stay tuned. This is going to be a very honest ride. I hope you can handle this. So as many of you already know, I used to be the worst kind of a shopaholic. I used to shop for no need, and there was literally no point to why and how I shopped. But since then, I have seen a complete turnaround in my shopping habits, and these days I am an advocate for sustainable fashion and for shopping better. If you're not familiar with my story, do check out this video on this very channel and get to know me a little bit better. So, shopping habits. Have you ever thought of these two things? Why do you go shopping? Do you go shopping for a specific need? Do you go shopping to reward yourself? Or do you go shopping just to kill time? When do you go shopping? Do you go shopping when you've got time to spare? Do you go shopping when you maybe feel low? Or do you just go shopping when you have, I don't know, a specific need to fill? I mainly shop for an actual need these days, or in order to support small sustainable brands. But that definitely wasn't the case just 10 years ago, and when I think back to why I shopped and how I shopped, I feel ashamed. I seriously do. So I'm going to be very honest with you today. I hope you can handle brutal honesty, because here follows 5 confessions from an actual shopaholic. So back in 2010, I used to study in Scotland, in Aberdeen. And every single day after uni, I would go either to Primark or to the Bon Accord shopping centre. Why? Because I had the time. And also because I had never in my life had such a wide selection of clothing stores in my disposal. So I went a little bit nuts. I bought anything and everything, multiple pieces of garments and multiple pairs of shoes every single day, all at once, every day. When my undies got dirty, I would throw them away and get new ones from Primark, because why wash them? I remember feeling like I was in control. I was in control in that situation. I had the right to choose from an endless array of clothing stores, of clothes. And I could buy as much as I wanted. I literally feel like the control was mine. I had it. I had it in the bag. Nowadays, having studied and worked in marketing for the past 10 years, I am very much aware that actually I was never in control at any fucking point. Back then, back in 2010, 2012, there was no talk of fast fashion. I had never heard the word fast fashion ever. There was barely any social media. And because of these things, I wasn't aware at all about what the consequences of my shopping crazes actually were. And I wonder these days that if I had been aware of what that kind of shopping actually caused to this planet, to people elsewhere, would I have shopped differently? Because when I did start learning about the enormous environmental and socio-economical issues that the fast fashion brands had created within just a couple of decades, I swore myself out of fast fashion super quickly. That doesn't mean though that I wouldn't feel embarrassed and quite bad, to be honest, about the many, many lives that I inadvertently helped the fast fashion brands to destroy back then. What I do find incredible though is that today, when we have social media, internet, all of the information available for us, and because of that we are all aware of what exactly is going on behind the fashion scenes. We all know it. We might be in denial, but we all know it. Despite all of that, so few of us actually give a shit. Why is that? Because in all honesty, that is worrying on multiple levels. At the end of the day, most of the stuff that I bought back then, all those clothes and pairs of shoes, I bought basically because I had the money and because I couldn't find that kind of clothes or shoes back at home. I was able to play around with my personal style like never before. I could change my style 3 times a day if I felt like it, and I did feel like it, and I did that. But what this meant in practice was that most of the stuff that I bought was actually quite horrid, like really awful pieces that did not look good on me at all. But I was playing around, so I just went for it, and I had the money, so who cares? But what this meant at the end of the day is that I only wore most of those clothes only a couple times, because quite quickly you realize that, oh my God, this looks awful on me. And then you just don't wear it anymore. And also those that I did wear, most of the time they were broken within the year from buying. Here's a little truth bomb that not many of you want to hear. Fast fashion is a privilege. It is not a right. While we treat our clothes as disposable, valueless pieces of petrol fabric, check my previous videos, we are using that privilege to maintain outdated, seriously dangerous systems elsewhere. Why should we care? So the money that I did have when I arrived to Scotland was very quickly spent. I didn't know back then what quality looked like, nor did I care, to be honest. And that, in practice, meant that I spent a lot of money on pieces of clothing that were either broken or unwanted within 1 year from buying. Let me put that into other words. I literally wasted thousands of pounds, thousands, in just 1 year. The thing that I do wonder about every now and then is that, would I have acted differently if I had been aware of how difficult my life was going to be in the future because I threw away all that money? Because it turned out that I actually needed that money in the next couple of years, but I didn't have it anymore because I literally threw it away. I'll never know. But if you've recognized yourself from any of this so far, I really hope you will do better than I did and seriously stop before it's too late. In our early 20s, we're not quite adults yet. I know we think we are, but we're really not. We're still building our view of the world, our self-esteem, our confidence. And I don't know how many of us actually realize how important a part clothes can be in building that confidence. Clothes have an incredible amount of value, not in terms of money, but in terms of tools to help us build a self-esteem. And that is something that I seriously failed at big time. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been a confident person. I've always been quite confident from birth, basically. But I was never, back then, I was never happy with the way I looked because of the way I dressed. And that is because I never stopped for just 1 minute to figure out my personal style. I never stopped to think, what actually looks good on my body? What suits my body? What clothes do I feel good in? So basically, I just kept buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff without ever actually thinking whether the stuff that I was buying would bring me any value. And because I didn't think about that, all that stuff that I bought, most of it didn't bring me any value. And so here we are, 10 years later, with my wardrobes, plural wardrobes, still bulging from the seams. Thankfully, I am still pretty much the same size as I was 10 years ago. So I'm still able to wear those clothes that I bought back then that have survived through all of these years. And I have to say, I am quite proud of how far I have come from those years. These days, I know exactly why I shop and how I shop, which helps keep my budget in check, keep my confidence high up out there. It just helps in every regard when you actually know why you're shopping and what you're shopping. And so, what were the lessons that I learned from this little look back to the years that I spent in Scotland in my shopaholic mindset? There were a couple big lessons that I learned from this look back, and that is exactly what my next YouTube video will be about. So make sure you subscribe to this channel right here, because the next video will be about the lessons that I learned from this honest look back to my shopaholic years. And basically I'm going to explain to you how you can make sure that every time you buy something, that piece brings you value for a long time. Okay? Subscribe away, and I'll see you next time.